Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me late after midnight Eastern time from an undisclosed location on the New Jersey Turnpike. You can see I'm in a hotel room. For whatever reason, I'm looking very yellow. I can reassure you I'm healthy, but the lighting is not more favorable than this. So bear with me, and you won't see too much of me as I'm on the flight over, coming back from Paris HR Tech, stopping here because of inclement Parisian flight schedules. I thought I was trying to make sense for myself of all the many announcements Oracle has done, over 22. Actually, it was only 15 when I flew over on the plane, and I didn't have Wi-Fi access. When I landed, there were 7 more as I left around 8:30 California time from Paris. So I thought I'd make sense of this, and then realized, hey, there should be value for customers, for people out there trying to make sense in equal way of fashion. So with no further ado, like I mentioned, it's after 10 p.m. here, no, midnight here, getting 10 p.m. on the West Coast. So let me share with you, I hope this is working. Let me share with you what my findings were. Let me double check. Yeah, it looks like I'm sharing my desktop. Hopefully that works correctly. So talking about all the day 1 to 3, Sunday to Tuesday press releases, which Oracle has shared with us. And for space reasons, one slide is a press release. I omitted, and Oracle will run after me and hopefully forgive this, and permitted the Oracle and the cloud service at the end, because otherwise I would have too much Oracle cloud service in the slides for you guys to make sense of it. So always think about, and I will try to say it when I say cloud platform, I mean the Oracle cloud platform. Well, in that case, cloud service doesn't make sense, but you'll see it in a second. So let's start with the bottom of the stack on the hardware side, right? So the first hardware close announcement was a breakthrough processor and system design with SPARC M7. What did Oracle really announce? Silicon secured in memory. That's what Larry's keynote was all about today, all about security, hardware and system encryption, and also interesting SQL and silicon, which gives performance advantage. My point of view on this is deliver software in silicon. I mean, there's significantly less chances to manipulate what's happening on silicon than on software, so there's more reliability on that. It equals to a certain point the move that Intel has made with TXT about a year ago, and SQL and chip, where does ultimately lead us in terms of performance, going to be an interesting thing to look at and look after. Off to the next press release, won't bore you too much. A little up the stack, every hardware release comes with a operating system. In Oracle's case, it's of course Solaris. It's version 11.3. What is new on this? Well, it's the yin and yang to the M7 memory security. It has to be reflected in the operating system. There's significantly better DevOps support to patch that system more easily. And there's something interesting, immutable virtual machines which cannot be changed thanks to the operating system, put them kind of like in a secured freeze mode, which is an interesting capability. And then there's also, from an open source perspective, support for OpenStack, the heat capability support in that release. So from my point of view, that's important security additions to the Solaris operating system. It means lower TCO. I think Oracle's learning a lot from putting out their infrastructure as a service platform. And I always read all these announcements from a perspective like, if you were a private cloud provider, from your perspective as an end customer, if you were Oracle, are you doing some of these things to help you run your private cloud, or Oracle's case, public cloud or managed cloud, whatever you want to call it, for different aspects of the whole portfolio a little better? And definitely DevOps helps there. And it's a great example from the Oracle overall vision of collapsing the stack, bringing more things together, and hardware and operating system together. To speed up a little more here, hardware customer traction. Of course, nothing new from hardware out without new customers on there. P&H Photo, EVV, University Hospitals in Leuven, Belgium, EPC, Capitec, and on the ISV side, Umasoft, MSC Software. Interesting enough, SAS, which is also a competitor, so co-competition here. Siemens and Software AG, also a competitor on the middleware side, using M7-based systems. So good traction to see on both customer and ISV side. Interesting, lots of European customers in general as quotes. Generally, Europeans are more worried about doing this, being a quote in a press release on stage, tons of them at OpenWorld. Interesting to see. On the database side, up the stack, Oracle expands the database cloud portfolio with new enterprise class capabilities. What are they? Already announced earlier this year is the Exadata Cloud Service. Basically, you can rent Exadata, you don't have to buy it anymore. RAC, real application classes for the database, and database Exadata Cloud Service. That brings the key capability of the additional premise database used by many Oracle customers available in the cloud. A disaster recovery with active data guard in the cloud was shown by Larry already on Sunday. The free database test drive of the database in the cloud is an interesting thing for getting system administrators and DBAs comfortable running in the cloud. And 3 additional database cloud services, including the very popular backup. So less excuses basically for not moving to the cloud. More and more features available, especially popular RAC and data guard capabilities in the cloud now. The extra cloud service is interesting because in the past, the expectation was Oracle was going to high-end hardware systems and kind of like potentially protecting them, that you had to buy them in order to use them. Now you can rent them for the extra cloud service. It shows that Oracle is listening to customers or trying to make it more affordable even to use these systems. And the backup service is very, very popular on the customer base, as we know. It's basically almost close to a no-brainer. If you run Oracle database, the Oracle backup service for the database in the cloud. And then a new release, of course, as traditionally, like every year at OpenWorld, now we have release 2 of the 12c edition of the database. Very interesting is the online movement while the database is writing data into the pluggable database across data centers and across the private public cloud. It's going to be a similar thing like VMware moving a live VM instance. Very similar, like here, this database is having its foundation run out of it or under it while it's running. So interesting. Better RAM support, no question. Very important capability. Analytics is where customers are no surprise. There's going to be better support for that, and tons of more features. I think over 100 quote in the press release. It's good to see the expansion of the very popular and cost-saving multi-tenancy feature from my point, and lots of things happening. If people think the database is dead or there's not much innovation happening from the Oracle side, that's not the case. One can clearly see that from the press release. Further along up the stack to the middleware, probably from my perspective, the biggest announcement, apart from the application announcement we get in a moment to, is the Java multi-tenancy capability, right? Java virtual machines, traditionally fickle, tough to administer, tough to run. There's a tool on the Oracle side, Oracle Quiet Coherence, to make that work. Very difficult to use. Very few engineers are really good at using that. Lots of issues in production of coherence. So really good to see Oracle introduce multi-tenancy for Java workloads, multi-data center availability of these workloads, which really make for high availability and just recovery. Support is there for SE8 and Enterprise Edition 7, which is the main popular releases which we have right now. Better DevOps support, no surprise. There's Docker, no conference in 2014-15 for Docker. Additional parts, Oracle is not making an exception here. Also popular tools like Maven are supported. And then integration directly in the middleware for popular database and NoSQL capabilities like Hive, SPARC, and Pig. So from my point of view, it's the first really major release of WebLogic, introducing a major new capability with Java multi-tenancy. So good to see that these products are not dead, but the new WebLogic's case anyway, the backend of Fusion middleware by now. Multi-tenancy is key for keeping Java alive and making modern applications of Java, especially with the container and microservice trend that we see. JVMs are like mega. If you think of container being a small real-world container, a JVM is more like a half of a deck or something like this. It's very important to keep Java competitive on that front. And it's clear that on the Fusion middleware side, there's push on all the different functionalities. The main areas I saw beyond the Java capabilities on the DevOps side and data integration side. It's going to take a while here. Sorry, I'm taking my time trying to hurry up. The cloud platform has important polyglot multiple language support capabilities, which have been added for Java, JavaScript, and Node. Mentioned the container cloud service using Docker. The Java SE and Node Cloud Service are new cloud service available, which brings lots of server-side programming capability with the Node.js, very popular language there. Then there's the PaaS at Oracle. Basically, you have to learn some new words. There's Developer Cloud Service, not being called PaaS mostly, but called Developer Cloud Service. Frameworks for Java and JavaScript, the same ones Oracle's using for applications, so the ADF framework and the mobile application map framework, and PaaS for business users. Very interesting. The citizen developer is front and square, something Thomas Corrin and I was very passionate right from the top down, enabling business users to build things. So very important extensions to JS and Node, giving more credibility that Oracle is not just a Java shop, but really supporting the programming language so popular of developers. Docker, nothing to say there. Oracle ZPaaS, not just Developer Cloud Service, something good to see. And really the business user support is probably one of the biggest disruptions happening in the programming side with the Builder Cloud Service and the mobile application accelerator, empowering business users to bypass technical resources and build applications directly themselves. Then on Cloud Platform, no conference on the IoT side. Number of new services got announced for not only IoT, but also extensions on the integration cloud service, on the SOA cloud service, and the API Manager Cloud. Those were extended. Basically, the API Manager Cloud came last year, if my memory doesn't fool me. And they're also interesting, again, the end user aspect, not around the citizen developer, but now the citizen integrator. So cloud product very different, with different tastes for integration, not just one flavor of that. I think that's the power of Fusion Middleware or the integration products here that they've been around for a while and have built up multiple capabilities. And with that, give customers keys for extensibility. Question is a little bit too confusing. There's too many products. There's too many that we had. All this now it's called cloud service. All right, a few years ago or last year it was as a service mania, AAS mania. Question is, do you need that many on the integration side? And the cloud platform overall that dominated today's announcement with 5 press releases, customer adoption. Over 2,500 organizations have adopted Oracle Cloud Platform, 800 alone in Q1. That is the time from June till August of this year. So traditionally a slow month in the Northern Hemisphere because of summer vacations. Poster child is Burger King Brazil. Interesting use case there. Brazil is one of the most challenging countries from a tax reporting, statutory perspective. Lots of changes happening quickly, and the government is fast at levying fines on businesses who don't comply. And supposedly with 2 cloud services, Java and database cloud service in 3 days, Burger King Brazil, good brand name reference, managed to avoid up to 5 million fines. So definitely a realistic use case for that. A couple of other customers, Carlex, CC Marketing, LT Financial, Superbox, and Unisol. Interesting, also smaller and more international. I'm missing the big, coming to my point of view here, the big US reference. But great story about Burger King being an American company, but in Brazil. No mention of ISVs, right? That's the interesting aspect here. There should be ISVs. I know there are ISVs building on the Fusion Middleware platform or the Oracle Cloud Platform in general. They have not been outspoken yet. So it's going to be interesting to see if the perception of Oracle there is the one of the technology provider and arms dealer, or the one of the potentially competitor on the SaaS layer where these applications are built, or maybe even as an overall integration stack comparator. The cloud partners are, of course, very important for every platform, also for the cloud platform, both adoption on the infrastructure and PaaS layer. There's a cloud marketplace. Another press release came out later on Tuesday. 70 ISVs are now listed there. It's a very good start for Oracle Platform as a Service, which is more newer, like a 1-year product. But if you compare it to the overall Oracle partner catalog, I think it's a 5-digit number. Not fair to count potentially every mount pub shop who sold the database ones, but now Oracle suffers from having a high inflated number of partners and not such great numbers coming up yet around the cloud platform marketplace. And then overall adoption was a press release for Oracle on the partner side with Accenture, Bitnami, Chef, CloudBroad, Infosys, Edgeworth, and LinePoint. That's the overall IaaS cloud platform being adopted. It's early days to say that. Some of them have an interest, like Bitnami, for instance, to be on as many platforms as possible. Chef is there for pure DevOps perspectives. CloudBoat is a partner. Interesting is Edgeworth here, the Infosys banking product. Probably one of the more larger and more genuine reference. I haven't had a chance because I wasn't planning to watch the keynotes today. Infosys CTO, CEO, Vishal Sikka presented earlier today. He might have talked about what Edgeworth is doing, so we need to check that out. And then, of course, once you have done all this, you need to manage this. So we're going up the stack. We're going to IT operations, where Oracle launched the Cloud Management Suite, which basically is an extension of the existing or running of capabilities of Enterprise Manager in the cloud, with interesting capabilities around application performance monitoring, which has grown to, at least for the Oracle products and Oracle acquired products, to be the tool of choice for customers. Log analytics, IT analytics, and are powerful to look at what is happening with the platform or in the logs of these products. And nobody can crunch logs better than Oracle, the logs of their own products, right? One hand shakes the other hand. There should be no question or doubt on that. And then some partner quotes on this. Very good. Again, keep in mind, Oracle running large public managed cloud infrastructures here. Many admin tools coming around being supported. Personal cost is key on this, of course, to run a cloud. Hardware cost scales, personal cost goes up. So important to manage this. Good to see the partner quotes. Not so clear from these quotes who's live on them. Further up the stack to analytics big data. On Sunday already, Oracle launched a visual analytics service, basically making sense automatically to a certain point out of data, some automated data planning, abilities even to do storytelling. I'm getting a deal from Canada here. Sorry, sharing my desktop. This is live. And sharing capabilities to further disseminate these visualizations which have been created. Generally, a very interesting category because software can make sense of what data has to be connected. My theory is software will beat the average data scientist, data prepper on a bad day, at least, if not better. So it's free deployment for it from IT. The quote was, however, from a business analyst at Skanska, who probably is part of IT. So not the best scope potentially. But foreign customers using visualization service, so that's a very good traction for product, which I think not even a year there. And here we keep going. Oh, losing my foot. Further on the big data analytics side, Oracle unveils a cloud platform for big data. That's a big announcement, probably in the heavier hitter category to go with Java and later the apps things we talk about, because Oracle has traditionally been standing on the side, seeing more of a coexistence strategy with big data. Now endorsing that is obviously, fighting is obviously futile, endorsing it is the right thing to do. So good to see there's a cloud platform for big data with 4 services, additional services on the big data prep side, very, very popular to move and prepare the data for that, but also connecting Golden Gate on-premise capabilities into that big data service. That's a good move in general. Potentially also another cannibalization chance between the Oracle portfolio. Golden Gate traditionally very, very expensive to run. Golden Nodes is the nickname, at least in Europe and some countries where there are stories about people getting golden nodes from getting too greedy. Big data discovery, very useful, of course, important of this, and the NoSQL database cloud service are part of the 4 announcements here. Very overdue announcement, as I mentioned already. Oracle has been a holdout on this, so it's good to see playing there, creating value for customers, having the integrated platform. We'll have to see how much adoption will be there. Generally, I expect a very good ecosystem uptake because it makes sense. But the question is, like inside of the Oracle systems, if I am on Oracle already anyway, I will use this for my big data pieces. That's a relatively easy foregone conclusion to a certain point. Still, customers should check this as a general point of caution. But the big question is, how well can this relatively late offering play in the best of breed standalone big data market? And then on the application side, really going up the stack now, talking about the overall adoption. A very neutral press release with mentioning only industries of customers in both customer experience cloud, HCM cloud, and ERP cloud, which is finance, procurement, project portfolio management, enterprise performance management, GRC, and SCM. There, I would have liked to see, it's good to see the progress in general. It's good to see globalization as a major driver and reflecting itself in our customer base, but it would be better to have a stronger presence in customer names here. And then starting the application side, marketing announcement, really good example of interesting. It was a press release. Obviously, Oracle cares for marketing, but really a number of acquisitions have been done in that space around Maximizer and Data Logics. And here you can see how a development team is at work, making sense and rationalizing these pieces that have been acquired by integrating them better. For instance, the Data Logics profile being part of the of the profile of a consumer, of a customer. Match multiplier between offline and online resources, very important to get this match done between separate source of information and not having duplicates, but having the richest customer profile you can have. And interesting enough that there's now a BU concept, like a business unit running for content marketing, as you must have a different visibility on content marketing items because other people have different logos for different business units. So integration of work being done, like I mentioned. No mature route features, so where's the customer adoption, nothing mentioned here, potentially in a weaker area here, and no major pieces as we have to check if something major is going to come. ERP extension around enterprise resource planning, more product in depth. On the financial side, new cash position forecasting capabilities. On the procurement side, direct material functionality. On the PPM side, new dashboards. On the SCM side, there's several press lead coming, order management, planning central, and overall, ERP has momentum with 1,400 customers in 60 countries and 24 languages. Generally, a broad push of Oracle into the ERP space with significant new functionality. It's clearly ahead of S4HANA at the moment. The 11.15 of S4HANA is coming out for customers looking at both, which will also significantly put more functionality out, as I reported last week for Packet. But clearly, Oracle has a few years of advantage over the SAP used ERP offering. SCM is the major addition, separate press release on that as we get them in a second. Before we stop at HCM, really driven by major transformation drivers around digital transformation, globalization, structured around the press release, also on Chris Leon's keynote on Monday. Learning was interesting already in Larry's keynote on Sunday. It's one of the very few opportunities where I know, apart from generic things like classification systems or document system in the SAP system as an example, where something which was built originally in one of the functional areas, in this case HCM, has been provided across all cloud products in this case. So learning is part of sales, part of marketing, CM products, and the finance products was a horizontal functionality of the new learning piece. Recruiting has some new capabilities around, memory fools me here. I think it was something around Taleo, but I'm not sure. Workforce rewards is new functionality, which was announced earlier the year at the HCM World, similar like on the workforce management, time clocking, and attendance capabilities. So lots of differentiation happening around the edges around Oracle HCM. It has now over 5,000 customers, not counting the Taleo customers, so that's significant customer traction. Recruiting is still a concern area in my view because Taleo is really getting older. So that would be one area to invest. That would be the one, in my view, if I would call it the shot here. And then supply chain management for modern value chain. Really, always, I'm not sure why, coming with commentary, let's see first what it is. Oracle established late with that. What's been announced has been planning, central planning capability and manufacturing order management capabilities, which are key. Order management is the pivotal point for ERP in general, for enterprise resource planning. So important for Oracle to really have these functionalities and beef up these functionalities. It shows flow support for source to settle, ideas to commercialization, order to cash, and plan to product, typical supply chain management related business law flows. Good to see manufacturing coming along. The question is, of course, why is it so late? And it's highly leveraged in the rest of the suite. So there's connections to procurement, to inventory, to cost management, to e-commerce, and so on. E-commerce being one of the new additions by itself. So what do partners say? Good to hear what partners say. Number of quotes. Probably this was the, it's good to see that, but probably this was the weakest press release because it was just partner quotes. No general introduction, no quote from the Oracle side, not what Oracle's planning to do or doing with customer partners here in this case in general. So very interesting press release of the 22. Needs definitely more details in the partner program. And then cloud marketplace, very important. If you want to be a cloud provider, you have to create a marketplace which attracts customers, which can complement your portfolio or build solutions in general, showcasing your technology functionality. So an update press release here. I had to use a smaller font for both partner apps and system integrator apps on this. I think this is a very good traction. Again, important to have that marketplace. Still a relatively low number of solutions in the early days compared to the overall number of Oracle partners in general, both from the partner application ISV side as well as the SI side. And then last but not least, very last question, it's good to see a charity effort. Oracle's going to open a high school on the Redwood Shores campus. It will house 550 students and 30 teachers. Oracle employees will keep volunteering at that school as they're doing already in a school with the same charter. It's a public charter school with the same charter idea of the Design Tech High School or D.Tech. Oracle actually does a lot on higher education, donates, according to the press release, over 2.5 billion in terms of free software to education. So always good to see charity, always good to see the things. So word of caution, I did a collage here and highlighted things. Always check the tenses when enterprise software vendors announce their products. Announced an expansion, right? Announced means it's not there. It's being said that's going to come. An expansion is an interesting substantive to use. It means there's something there, but it will be added to that. Announced again there, here on the left. Launched does also not mean it's available. Outlined means just a description. Introduced doesn't mean that it's available generally, but something must be there. Whereas very clear as an example from the cluster, SPARC cluster M7 part, available now at the bottom of the press release, now for ordering and delivery. You can't just order, but you can have it delivered. And this is actually the only press release which had this bottom part of it. It doesn't mean the other ones doesn't have to be available, but really, really check the wording of this. Good. Caution on the language, as I said. Shameless self-promotion, our conference coming up November 4th, 6th next week. There are still spots available if you want to come. It's really one of the best innovation-centric events which are being held, in this case at the beautiful Ritz Carlton in Half Moon Bay. If you still have time, we would love to welcome you and see you there. Well, thank you for watching so much. Here are questions on our brand new PowerPoint template. Let me get the camera back here. So you see my yellow setup over here on the East Coast. Can't do anything on the light. 22 press releases, 3 days, averaging more than 7 a day. That's a lot of things to go through. This has taken quite a while. Thanks for bearing with me. Heading back to OpenWorld early tomorrow morning. If you're there and you see me, grab me, say hi. Always good to catch up on real world. I appreciate you listening to this. Thank you, and see you soon, hopefully.